This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and it's gaming demo time again, this time with the MSI Ghost Pro GS60. This is the model with the NVIDIA GTX 970M graphics card inside, dedicated graphics, 6 gigs of DDR5 VRAM, quad-core CPU as well, Intel Core i7-4710HQ. That's a 2.5 gigahertz CPU with turbo boost to 3.5 gigahertz. 16 gigs of RAM, solid state storage in here. Awesome, well, crazy, beautiful backlit RGB keyboard going on here. SteelSeries keyboard, Wi-Fi AC, killer Wi-Fi AC, and wired Ethernet in case you're a purist when you game. So we're going to test out a couple of really good games right now. Far Cry 4, Dragon Age Inquisition for some very new and demanding games. Metro Last Light, because that one just tends to kill PCs, and a couple more. So you're going to see it now. And by the way, 4.2 pounds, ultrabook size, 15.6-inch display. Ours has a 2K matte display, and that's another way of saying 1920 by 1080, which is a good sweet spot for the 15-inch display. You don't have to deal with scaling and games and stuff, but for those of you who want it, there is a 3K display option and even a 4K. And by the way, for those of you who want to know even more about this laptop, I can't blame you. You should watch our full video review, also available on our channel. You can learn everything you need to know about this. Let's game now. Alright, so now we are in Dragon Age Inquisition, a very new game and one of the most demanding. If you thought that Metro Last Light was pretty killer, or Crisis, even though those two, of course, are older games, they've been known to slay many a PC. Dragon Age Origins is pretty darn demanding, so let's take a look at our settings here. And every game here we're going to be running at full 1920 by 1080. That is the native resolution of the display panel. Graphics quality high, mesh quality high. Tessellation we've got at medium. Everything else is at high. Ambient occlusion set to HBAO. Multi-sample anti-aliasing is off. So, well, that's pretty darn good and aggressive. So let's see how it plays. And here we are in the hinterlands. Right now we're at 60 frames and beautiful scenery. Let's just stop and look at the scenery. Yep. Frame rates stay just fine when we're doing a little sightseeing here, and see if we can find us some bad guys to fight too. Looks like we got some baddies up here. And frame rates are holding up just fine. Let's say 54 frames per second is pretty darn playable. So frame rates stayed pretty darn high here, even though we are playing on high settings in Dragon Age Inquisition. Very, very nice. Now we're in Battlefield 4 64-bit, and the frame rates here, you can see where it's at right now thanks to Fraps in the corner. And let's see what our settings are at. Ultra, 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 ha ha ha, 4K for anti-aliasing deferred. You get the idea. So we're maxing things out right here. Now granted, this hallway isn't the most challenging thing, so we'll jump into the fight here.
Adrian, they spotted us. We'll take them out together. Tag them and give the signal.
So that's pretty darn impressive frame rates there, don't you think? And the nice thing is that the temperatures are actually pretty good on this. The GPU really hasn't gone above 75 to 77, and even with the GPU at 99% utilization, often for, well, long periods of time. So that's Battlefield 4 on the MSI Ghost Pro GS60 with the NVIDIA GTX 970M. And now we're in Metro Last Light. Yes, it is not one of the newest games, but it's pretty famous for bringing PCs to their knees, so we've really gone to town with the settings here just to see how well it can do. Very high, obviously, 1920 by 1080, that's what we're running every game at. Now we're leaving that turned off. Texture filtering, 16x. Normal motion blur, normal tessellation. Saying no to VSync.
The creature I met in the burned-out remains of the gardens looks like a dark one, and it was able to. Shh! Duck. Now listen. Pretend you're a little fucking mouse. Get down. Don't make any sudden moves. Let's move. Carefully, huh? Freeze! Just by shooting you.
So those frame rates are very, very good, aren't they?
Move.
Yes, it's the darkest game ever, right?
Take yours down. Understand? Get to it. Don't start too soon, huh? Let's do it.
That was gruesome, but effective.
Hey, do you hear me? Look, there is a lever. It releases the ladder. If you pull it, the ladder comes down.
So we're still very high in the frame rates here. You get the idea. This is absolutely not going to be a problem for this laptop. When you see 70s and 80s and something like Metro last night, you have arrived. Not bad for a 4.2-pound Ultrabook gaming machine. And now we're going to check out Tomb Raider. And let's look at our settings here. And the advanced stuff is a lot more interesting. A whole lot of ultra going on here. Anisotropic 16x for our texture filter. FXAA turned on. You get the idea. Tessellation is on. So let's give it a go and see how it goes, because we love playing with the bow and arrow.
Fascinating. Distinct style.
So we're running it on the highest possible settings, and those are not bad frame rates. I've seen it actually run higher in this game, but this is the third game in a row that we have tested to do this video. It may have a little bit of effect on it. Anyway, one of my least favorite scenes here, we get to try to defend ourselves against crazy wolves with a bow and arrow. I mean, really, who would want to do that? And I will probably get my rear end handed to me because I am not good at killing wolves with a bow. But nonetheless, with a lot of bad guys going on here, a whole lot of running around, maybe they won't see me in the bushes. Frame rates are holding up pretty well. Sorry, wolf. That's alright, your friend's going to get his revenge on me. Did I ever tell you I'm bad at killing wolves with a bow? There we go. So other than the fact that I'm obviously really not good at playing Tomb Raider, the laptop itself certainly is. And considering that we've got the settings maxed out on this, the fact that we're doing so well with frame rates is very impressive, especially for a slim gaming laptop like this. And that's Tomb Raider on the MSI Ghost Pro with the NVIDIA GTX 970M graphics card. And now we're going to test out Far Cry 4. Here's our settings. Once again, 1920 by 1080 is our resolution, which is the native display resolution. Motion blur on, textures high. Shadow and post FX I left at medium. Geometry, vegetation, just about everything else you can name is high on this. Fur is on. Tree relief is on. I mean, where would you be without fur, right? And now we're in Far Cry 4, running for our lives. A whole lot of bullets flying. Pretty high frame rates here.
Probably not.
Well, very high frame rates. Lots of action.
Shoot! 10!
Not your average vacation to drop off your mom's ashes, is it? Far Cry 4 on the MSI Ghost Pro. And for those of you who are wondering just how hot this actually gets and how long it can keep the GPU active, here we go. We had GPU Z running in the background while playing games. And we've got the core clock rate, the memory clock rate, temperature in centigrade. So 77 is the highest that we hit in this gaming session right here. You can see the GPU utilization was as high as 99% a whole lot of the time. So that's just fine. That's just pretty good right there. And it even cooled down at one point, as you can see. And that's by the time we exit out of the game, we started jumping down to the even lower temperatures in the 30s here. So certainly these kind of figures right here, very impressive and very safe for gaming.